Hello, I am your host, Kathy Chester, and welcome to the Move It or Lose It podcast, a podcast about all things that move the mind, body, and soul. The Move It or Lose It podcast is for information, awareness, and inspirational purposes only. I am not a doctor, and I don't even play one on TV, so please consult your doctor before making any medical decisions. The views expressed by advertisers, guests, or contributors are their opinions and not necessarily the views of the Move It or Lose It podcast.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Move It or Lose It podcast. I am not your normal host. We're flipping the script on Kathy today. So Kathy is on the other side of the microphone, and welcome to your own podcast, Kathy.
Thank you. It's so good to be with you. And who are you?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know me, I am Amanda. I've been working with Kathy since August last year.
Yeah, I think it's been
a minute.
Yeah.
Probably about
and I'm so grateful.
7 months.
Yeah.
So I do marketing and web design. We just redid the whole website. So
Woo!
Just going to plug that in there.
Yes.
Go check it out.
She is awesome.
Well, thank you.
Anyways,
so this was kind of my idea, right? Because
yes, it was.
Gosh, you work so hard on this podcast, and I feel like there's so much transition going on right now that we kind of needed to hear from you. And like, what better place to do that than on your own podcast? So let's get to it.
Thank you.
Yeah. First question, right? So the podcast itself, we are over 100 episodes in.
Crazy.
Insane.
Yeah.
How has this process been for you? Like
a whirlwind.
Yeah. What made you decide to start the podcast, Move It or Lose It?
I would say, I've listened to podcasts for years. I knew I wanted to do one, but I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it. And so for me, it was listening to several different kinds of podcasts, listening to ones that were like best friends, and they joke around on the podcast, but no one really got what they were saying. It'd be like you and I, like, remember this? And we'd laugh, but no one else understood it. And I was like, I don't really like that, but I like the idea of having, I like having the joyful and kind of the fun, with also having, on the other end, having doctors and having people on there that would be able to not just have it always funny, but to have people that would also spread awareness and give us, especially where I wanted to go into the world of sickness. What's more fun than that? But to understand with awareness, with having MS and different autoimmune diseases, having doctors on that could give us more than sometimes, as you know, our neurologist, we don't always connect with them. And so many of us with different diseases are like, I have no idea what to do next. So I figured if I could space it where I have patients that are wanting to tell their stories that are always so just amazing to me, what people bring to this, and then have doctors come on. And then my other favorite is just to go into different companies that are doing some really cool things for us and have them on as well. I just really enjoy that. And I love collaborating with different people that are doing things. So having sometimes just having 4 or 5 people on it that are all doing, I've had you on with some different women on that are just doing some of the same things. So I don't ever get bored with it. I always have some exciting ideas that I want to do. I honestly get up in the middle of the night still with a workout idea for someone and a podcast idea. So I always have a notebook to jot down, because I've never gotten bored with an idea of a move for someone that I have in my head, or a podcast idea. So
we know where the podcast has been in the past for the last 100+ episodes. Where do you see the Move It or Lose It podcast going moving forward?
Well, by the way, happy MS March.
I know,
Happy
MS Awareness
MS
Month.
Awareness Month. So woohoo. So it's our time. Because I'm like, wow, everybody gets
Absolutely.
something, but I want to really celebrate because not that Breast Cancer Awareness Month is not a big deal, because we know it is absolutely. But I always feel like we get kind of the like raw end of it. We don't get a lot. So I'm like oranging it out everywhere all month just to
I know,
like,
I see your pen. I love
yes,
it.
I'm like, got it. So, but go back to your question. What was that? Oh, where I see it
Where do
going.
you see it going in this? Like,
Um,
is there something that you haven't explored yet that you want to in the future of the podcast? Or are you looking for new guests? Tell us where you see this
yes.
going.
Well, one thing, I need subscribers. So one of the funny
Uh,
things is I can go anywhere, and it's funny. I'll go to an MS event or something that has nothing to do with, our sicknesses or anything like that. And I love that. I'll have people say, "Oh my gosh, I love your podcast." And I listen to it on Spotify or on YouTube or on Apple. And I'm like, great. Do you subscribe? What? No. How do you do that? And I'm like, I need you to subscribe because I need to have this many people listening, and I need
mhm.
to be able to say, like, this is how many people I have. And so that I really, really try to get people to do. It's very difficult sometimes.
Right.
So to get that moving, which you've helped a lot with that, everybody needs somebody on their marketing. You need a marketing person. Um, so going
We
further,
literally have videos on like how
I
to
know, I
subscribe.
know. And it's still, they're like, what? So really having people push that. And so trying to get some kind of way
Mhm.
to have people do it, like you get this or who knows. But having that to really push that end of it, and having some guests that I haven't really branched out with, just thinking about like different guests that I really wanted. And just, in the beginning, when you first start, you don't really go after certain guests. You're kind of like timid, like, ooh, I'm not
Right.
sure. And then now I think I'm ready to go after some of the bigger guests that I've really wanted. And
Absolutely.
actually some of the doctors that I've really wanted on. So I'm going to go with some more of those. And there's some really big companies that I want to do affiliation stuff with. So I really want to have them on. And I really want to this year, honestly, I want to have some more supporters. So I haven't really been able to do a lot of that. So I want a lot more support with the podcast. I feel like
Right.
I've really proven that this is a really good podcast, and
You're
there's a
not going
lot
anywhere.
to it. And thank you. And so I feel like now it's time for people to take a look and say, hey, I want to be a part of this. So I want to kind of
Absolutely.
bring in people to be a part of the podcast.
Right. I love that. I think it's
Yeah.
great. And we're going to get subscribers. We're going to get
Yes.
subscribers.
Yes. Listen, that's what you have to do.
It's one thing to listen, it's another thing to show your support by
Yeah.
hitting that subscribe button so that
Yeah.
you
And
can
it's
listen
it's so
every time a new
easy.
episode comes out.
Yeah.
Love it.
And please
Well,
like make sure that you like rate it, because as we know, like
and leave a
there's,
review.
yes, because there's some mean people, and sometimes as a podcaster, you can't always, um, as we would like to, you can't always air all of them. And sometimes I think for me, the hardest part, and it's probably just my heart and just, I have a hard time disappointing people. And
Mhm.
sometimes there's podcasts that come on and the person isn't who they say they are, or you find out things and it's like, darn it, like I don't want to hurt anyone, but I can't air this one. And people get
Right.
really mad. And so they get a lot of people to really put like bad reviews on your podcast. And so it'll go from a 5 to like all of a sudden you're like, wait, in a couple of weeks it
Where
went
did
to a
this come from?
4.3. Like, wait. So they're always anonymous, you don't see, and it's like,
Hmm.
so that's that hurts, but it's like you got to
Sure.
figure the source where it came from, and then you just keep going. And then it goes up, and you just got to say it's going to happen. Those things are going to happen.
Right. Yeah, definitely. So the MS disrupted brand, right? You have like this whole conglomerate. You have the
Yeah.
MS disrupted. I met you when I joined the Women Who Disrupt MS support
Okay.
group.
Yeah.
So that's how you and I got connected.
Yes.
So you've got the group and the podcast and MS Disrupted, the whole, like the overall brand.
Yeah.
Um, and it's gone through this journey, right? Over the
Yeah.
last like 12 to 18 months. You used to own a
Yes.
gym
Yes.
and you've transitioned to like personal training and online training once COVID hit.
Yeah.
You're still training people in
Hmm.
person, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And then now you have this new thing that you are working on. And I know you are dying to tell people about this. It's been on
Yeah.
social media, it's out now, you can
Yes.
register, but talk to us about 10 weeks
Yes.
to disrupt MS.
Yeah. So that's been something that, as I go, the biggest thing is to keep things, as you know, so that people aren't looking everywhere. So they're not looking for
Right.
Disrupt Fitness Gym, which is not there anymore. So that is the gym that I had let go. And that was really difficult, but it was something that I felt through COVID. And even when COVID was coming to an end, I felt like it just needed to happen because I just didn't have the time to, after all the training, all the certifications, all that, I did not have the time to be with clients that were desperately needing me to be with them. It was like I'd have an MS client or a rheumatoid client or a lupus client. And I would have to say to them, I'm so sorry, I can't this week. We set up a time and I wasn't able to, and that would break my heart. So when COVID hit, it really gave me time to kind of process what was happening in the gym, but then also process, is this really what I want to do? And so that gave me time to kind of let it go and then open up. Obviously, everything was online. So then I could start to do like Zooms with them. So then I would
Right.
do that and then open up like, what is this going to look like after? And so then, starting up my own, which I had no idea what that would look like, because this is something so, I mean, we had a whole new world. So even though I was very comfortable with Zoom, because we did that with the gym, but so it's kind of like I'd already started that. So it was that part was comfortable, but doing it with people that had different autoimmune diseases, I wanted them to understand that when I'm doing this with you, I'm going to be right with you. So when you may never have exercised before or moved before, or maybe it's been a long time because you were told, like when I was told, you just need to sit
Right.
down and rest. Just lay down and rest. And so we're going to
The
start
old
this again.
MS
Yes,
philosophy.
exactly. That I never followed or listened to. So
Thank
um,
goodness.
it was, yeah, I'm so grateful for. But now helping those people who didn't do that to just even be able to have any movement and to release some pain. So that was really, really big to me. And I love being able to do that. But what I find is, how do you meet the needs of so many and so many that don't have the money to do one-on-one? Because, one of
Right.
the things, as you know, that I'm battling is with legislation and all of that. Why is it that, we've got what? We've got physical therapy covered, but then
Right.
we know that we have to exercise. We know that that's an absolute. That's our biggest defense. So we've got all these patients that after they go through physical therapy, what? They're stuck. They're like,
They're
okay,
on their
that's
own.
done. Right. And they're like, but I have no one to help me. I have nobody to help me with the next part. And so that really got me. And I'm still really fighting that with others to find a way that that is covered as well. Like, why are we
Right.
going through all of these certifications to help, but yet they have nothing. They have to pay for this. So it really is tricky because then we get paid a lot less because, well, not everybody, but if you really love these people like us and we really want to
Right.
help, and we know that so many are living literally on disability. And
Mhm.
so it's really coming up with an affordability that I can still make something to pay my bills, and yet they can still do this. So for me, with a 10-week program, it was something that they could do together for 10 weeks, and it was all inclusive, that it was different things. So it wasn't just about,
Right.
because what happens is even when I do my one-on-ones, it's not just that we're moving. There's a lot of times where a client will come on and they're just so overwhelmed that it may be just stretching. So that
Right.
45, 60 minutes, because let's be honest, it's never 45 minutes and they know that. It always ends up being
Always an
60,
hour.
always an hour. And even when they know that, but
Mm.
it's a lot of times like they're overwhelmed, like women and men. It's not just one or the other. And they just need to talk, or they just need to stretch, or they just need some time. Like, I don't even know what I'm eating, but I feel like crap. So we have to go over kind of like what's going in. And
Right.
so it's like, what supplements am I doing? I don't even know. Or they're getting like, supplements from like Walgreens or, CVS. And I'm like, okay, hold on. Let's like reframe this. So there's
Right.
a lot of stuff that it goes into it. And so when I thought about this 10 weeks, I thought, let's shoot for this. And let's have a time where I can do Q&A times, where I can give some videos out and they can then show me, like, here's some videos. I want you to do what you can this week. This is what I want to see. And then we're going to talk about it. What were the struggles? What could you do? What would you want to do? So I can show some seated moves, some ones that you could
Right.
lie down, and some standing, some harder ones. Because, let's face it, with me, I always felt guilty because I could do a lot more, but we shouldn't feel
Right.
that way. So I want to show, like, this would be a difficult move. I'm more of a difficult range. This, you should never feel guilty as well if you can't do that. There's no guilt
Right.
in this. There's no
You've had
shame.
clients, even now, right? You still have clients who
Mhm.
have very limited like range of motion, right?
Absolutely.
So
Mhm.
it's really about catering to this very large audience, but being able
Yes.
to do it in a group setting where everybody feels
Yes.
comfortable because everybody knows that they're dealing with sort of the same thing,
Yeah.
just looks a little different.
Yes.
So the 10 weeks to disrupt MS program, right? It's fitness, it is
Yes.
nutrition, it
Right.
is mental
Yes.
well-being,
Yes. Because we know how
nutrition.
much depression is in there, right?
Oh,
So we get started and right. I mean, we see
do we
that in the
ever?
women who disrupt MS, and not even that. I mean, I would say I've never had more men come to me that are just
Right.
depressed. And so
Hmm.
to think that it's just movement is that's not even, that couldn't even be something, because to think
Yeah.
that you're always going to want to come on and okay, I just want to move. Well, that's not even hitting the different things. So that's why it meant so much. And it's taken so long to figure out 10 weeks, what is this going to involve? And
Right.
how is this going to help people? And layer and layer and layer. What are the biggest needs that we're facing right now with our multiple sclerosis patients? What are the
Right.
biggest needs that they want? And so, yeah, the nutrition, the mindfulness, where do our minds go when we go into that black hole? And one of the things, like to your point, doing the different things is that even when I started the Zooms, I was like, okay, in my mind, we're going to separate it. We'll have our seated group and our standing group. But what happens is they connect. And so when we
Hmm.
do those, they want to do it together. So even though they're doing their videos separately, when we come together and we do them together, they want to be together. They don't want to be
Right.
separated. So is that a little bit more work for me? Absolutely. But it's worth it to see their faces and to see
Right.
them like, oh, I know you. And I know, and I'm not uncomfortable. And I think it takes like a little pat on my back, but I think it takes someone that knows it, that has it, to be able to make it comfortable for them to
Right.
say, we're all together. There's going to be some days that those of us standing are not going to feel like we can do that today. And some of us
Right.
that are, so we are all going to try the best we can do with what we have. And so I think that's going to help a lot. And I think the fact that I allow bands, no weights, no bands, or you can use dumbbells, but to
Right.
where you're
Or a water
comfortable.
bottle.
Exactly. I'm like, this is for where you are. And so grab cans of soup if you can. do nothing, just use like no body weight stuff. And so I
Right.
think, or use your NeoWalk cane. So I do a lot of
Right.
stuff with that. So, and by the way, if you missed it, this is the orange one. So I'm very excited to have
That's right.
my orange NeoWalk cane for
Oh,
my
it's
MS
so
awareness. I
pretty.
love
Look
this
at
one.
that.
I know.
It's
So thank
so
you, NeoWalk.
pretty.
So yeah,
Shout out to Neo Walks.
oh yeah. So I mean, this is a great way that you can do so many things that I'll be showing during the 10 weeks, that it doesn't always have to be this idea that you've got to like, okay, get your big weights out and stuff like
Right.
that. So yeah. So I'm sorry, I might have missed one of your questions. So what else did you have for me?
No, you didn't. I think it's important for people to know and to understand that what sets you apart from maybe some of the other people who have the same programs is that number one, you're certified in
Mhm.
fitness, right? And not just fitness, but also fitness for, there's some big name and I never remember what it is, but like you are certified to help people who have had injuries or
Trauma,
illness.
yes. Yes.
Right.
Illness, like spinal injuries, things like that, head
So you've
injuries,
worked with like
mental
stroke
things. Yes.
victims. Right. So not only are you certified, but you also like you live this. You have
Yeah.
chronic pain, you have MS, you have
Yeah.
RA.
Yeah.
Um, it's something that
And
is so
epilepsy.
personal and
Woohoo.
epilepsy. My
I'm
goodness.
just like I always say, I'm picking them up like Pokemon cards. Just can't get rid of them.
Listen, it's not, you're not like collecting, you're not getting points for collecting
Dang
disabilities.
it. I messed this whole thing up. I caught it wrong.
Goodness. If only we could have like
Right?
$100 for everyone.
Wow.
Jeez.
It'd be great.
But it's important for people to know that like it's so personal to you because you live it
Mhm.
every day.
Yeah.
So you're certified, you live it. And this is your life's work, your passion.
Yeah.
So even though you are doing this because you love it, it's also your career.
Right.
It's Do you find that it's hard for people to understand that even though you do this and you love it, you also have to make a living from it because this
Oh
is
gosh, yeah.
your job and your career? So do you get a lot of
Often
resistance?
I often will, not often, but I'll hear like, even when I did like, you do a lot of things that you want to just give away. So often
Mhm.
I will do like, I'll do like once a month, I'll do just Zooms, just live things that are just,
Mhm.
and I did for gosh, months and months, almost a year. I did a Zoom that was 19 a month where I just had people come on and I would do that. Anybody that wanted to come on would join. And I would have people often that would say, come on or message me and say, I can't believe that you're not willing to do this completely free. And I'd be like, it's $19 a month and it's
Right,
every week. So those were tough times that people would expect, everything free. And I do a lot of things that I give away in advocating and working with, clients that need me that can't afford it. So I do a lot
right.
of those things, but it does become frustrating in this world because in our regular world that's wouldn't be expected. So
Right.
it is difficult for people to understand this is my career and it's something that I've worked hard at for a very long time. So,
Yeah.
being a pastor's wife for years and going through a divorce, that was, really exciting being left to raise three kids and all that. But
Right.
it did give me the ability to make this, to do this and know that I could.
Right.
But I worked hard to do this. And so I think, on a good note with that is it really gave me empathy to be able to do this because, being a pastor's wife does give you go through a lot of therapy, of counseling to be able to help others. So it does give you a lot of empathy to be able to be with others. And so
Right.
I am able to look at someone's eyes, when they come on and say, oh, do we need to talk for a little bit or do we need to do some breathing? And so you can see that, and then you're able to say, like, okay, look, we don't need to do all this right now today. Why don't we take a
Right.
break and let's talk a little bit, or let's talk about mindfulness. That was my dog, Sophia. She's she's being
We love
very
her.
therapeutic. So I think that gives you that idea, and that's really what kind of sparked like the 10 weeks how many times I was getting that, where like the change of season, I don't know where we're at right now, but a lot of anxiety. And so I wanted to really add on to this because I'm seeing it more and more and more with like
Right.
food, like making with the anxiety, making food choices, and then adding that to the guilt. Like we need more guilt, right?
Right, of course. So the 10-week program is available now,
Yeah.
right? You
This
can go and
morning,
register on the website now.
it went
And
live
you
this
can
morning.
go on the website and learn about what's included when it's beginning and all of that good stuff. So I think that's super exciting, and I think
Yeah.
it's going to take off so fast. You are limiting, right, the number of
Yes.
people who can sign
Yes.
up
Yeah.
for each session.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that people like, if you're
Yeah.
thinking about it,
Don't
just
wait.
do it.
Because I have
Don't
to call, I have
wait.
to do a stop on it because I want to be able to do this one to see how many people can be in it where I can make sure I can get to each person and get that
Right.
personal touch. As you know, that will always be a big thing for me. Giving that personal touch, making sure I check for them. Those are big things for me. And I don't want it to be so big that I can't give that. So,
Right.
and I want definitely for Q&A time and time that I'm with them on screen that they can ask that I'm not, I mean, you're my women who disrupt MS. So if I don't get to each person and give that,
Mhm.
at least that people feel like, oh, I got to ask that question, that kills
It makes
me.
people feel like they're seen. Like, even
Yes.
if you don't have a question to ask, just saying, hey, did you have something to add to the conversation?
Yes.
Or, and some of
Yeah.
the ladies are a little shy and don't always want to
Yeah.
speak, but
For
that's
sure.
okay. It's definitely, I can tell in your heart that that's something that's really important to you, is to make sure that
Yeah.
people feel seen and heard. So
For sure.
super
It
excited about
really
this
is.
program. I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
me too.
amazing.
I think it will
So
too.
y'all go
And I
register
look,
on the
I mean,
website.
you and I went through the prices over and over again because as you know, we see so many things on
Mhm.
social media that's we're looking at each other like we'll
So
talk and I'm
many.
like, what? It's like how much? How 1,000 and what for like 8 weeks and you're doing
Right.
what? So it was really tricky for us to get to a price that was like, okay,
Right.
this is on the lower end, which I know some people look at it and be like the lower end. But if you really take a look
It
at
really
all the
is.
different prices, it's like, and I couldn't. I mean, could I do it?
Right.
Sure. But can I do it in my heart? No. And so
Right.
I know no matter what, I'm gonna hear things like, wow, that's a lot. But in my heart, I know that this is the right price for what I'm giving
Right.
out. And you have to think as a businesswoman that what am I putting into it? How many hours? How many
Right.
videos am I doing? How
This
much
is
time am I
10
taking away?
weeks.
Yeah. So once you think
Absolutely.
about that, then you have to really, really think, how much am I willing to do? And at this point, for this, that's why I'm like, sign
Mhm.
up because there's a lot going into this. And
Right.
I put a lot into it, and this is a really good deal, and this won't be back again. So grab it.
No, definitely not. From a consumer standpoint, right? Like, from somebody who is signing up for the program, you have to also think about the fact that this is an investment in your health and in
Yes.
your future. So we
Mhm.
waste so much money on crazy stuff, on
Gosh, yeah.
Starbucks, on Stanley Cups, on,
On
there's so much out
Amazon.
there. The most recent iPhone, right?
Yes.
This is really an investment in
Yeah.
your future so that you can stay um, happy and healthy, and maybe even progress a little bit with
Yeah.
your health, to
Yeah.
spend some more time with your family. Um,
Yes.
so I personally believe in the program. I'm encouraging everybody to go to the website, check it out. That's just my little plug. We're
Because you're
full
going
of
to do
plugs
it.
today.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
So,
that's the thing too, is that people don't realize if they haven't done it, how much more energy and how much better you're going to feel when you do
right,
that. Because it's like, oh, if I do that, I'm going to be exhausted. I'm like, no, the opposite will happen. And it's
right.
like, I don't see it, but you will.
Didn't I
It's so
just
often
text
that.
you yesterday? And I was
Yes.
like, you're gonna you're gonna want to yell at me so bad, but like I know that I need to get back to where I was. I'm
Yeah.
not sleeping well, I'm it's just a mess, right?
Yeah.
I'm not thinking as clearly as I used to.
Right.
I'm tired, wanting to nap again in the afternoon, which
Yeah.
is not, it's not me, not when I'm
Right.
regular on my exercise routine. So,
Right.
um,
Right.
for sure, it really is
Yeah.
like it's the opposite of what most people think.
Yeah.
It's going to
No,
give you
and
back.
oh, for sure. Even when you and I talked, I had eaten and then I was like, I just need to do some stretching. I'd already done like, training and all that. But
Mhm.
even after that, I needed everything to calm down. So I ate and then I just did some like yoga stretching. And even that calmed my whole system down because it was after like a lot
Right,
of like working, a lot of stretching, a lot of like doing like some, heavier workouts with clients. And then I ate and just doing that, even calming down. And so those are a lot of things we're going to work on too. Like when you've had a
right,
busy day and you've worked out, now you've got to kind of calm your system. That's why we stretch after. It's like calming everything
right,
down because it's a lot. And and that's the thing too, is that one of the big things is that as a trainer and having done this like my whole life is that you have to be really aware that what is like could be easier for you is not the same for everybody. So for like
right,
some person, 15 minutes of something of doing it, that's it for them. And they're ready to
right.
stretch. And so you have to be really, really paying attention to that. And what I've seen since I've been doing this is a lack of that, a lack of
Right.
really paying attention to that person. Where I'll even see trainers, like this, and then look
Oh
up.
my gosh.
And I'm like, what did I just see? That's hard for me, really hard, because
Right.
I'm like, they are paying you and they're everything they're doing right now, going
Mhm.
down to a lunge or a squat, their foot turning out, that's
It
a
makes a
fall
big
right there.
difference.
Huge difference. That's a
Yep.
sprained ankle. That's everything wrong. And
Mhm.
I'm just like, how dare you be on your phone right now? Who is so important that you have to text right now? Or that you can't say, let's say it's a child or a husband, that you can't
Right.
say to that client, can I ask you to wait 1 second? I have an emergency text that you can't
Right.
say. So
Right.
that those things make me nuts. Don't put me there. I'll
Little
get on a
like
soapbox.
quirks of the job. think
Yes.
I think every job has that obviously,
Yeah.
but I think there's something to be said for somebody who takes their profession and their job so seriously. And
Yeah.
especially when you're working with people and their mobility and their
Yeah.
health. Um, it's something that your clients deserve is your attention.
Yes,
So
for
I
sure.
appreciate that about you.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
Um, so I don't, we're still chatting. Do you want to
I
go for
know.
a part two?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're doing two. Okay, part one and part two. So we will say goodbye for now, and I will bring you
Yes.
back for part two.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Move It or Lose It podcast, where you can again find us every Tuesday and also wherever you like your podcast, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Stitcher. Join us on that. And we can't wait to see you again. We're going to have a lot of exciting guests and working together. And as always, you'll hear us say at the end of every podcast, we are stronger together. So let's do it. Let's become stronger together. Have a great day.